Hey, what is up, guys? It is Jed, and today I want to go over a topic that I've wanted to do since about Season 8. Today I want to discuss why Fortnite has become significantly harder to play and precisely what needs to be done to reverse that. Before I begin, I have two really quick calls to action. First, I'm still an infant to the Fortnite Creator Program, so if you want to support this content, feel free to use the code JEDYT in the item shop. And also, I want you to join my Discord and talk to me. Link is in the description and the pinned comment. Alright, so on with the video. I've created a little formula that's going to help me explain myself in the video today, because there is no one reason that Fortnite is sweaty, but they are all very important by themselves. The first section that I'm going to talk about is limited time modes. I do believe this topic is the most important one to talk about because LTMs have caused irreversible damage in my eyes. I actually used to be a pretty big advocate for LTMs, not understanding the long-term effect of having these types of modes in the game. For the sake of explaining this, just imagine the Fortnite community split into two main groups: the casuals and the hardcore players. Of course, there are people in between, but I'm just keeping this simple. When Fortnite came out, there were two modes: solos and squads. Eventually, they added duos into the mix as well. I would consider these three the base modes, and both player groups participated in them. Fast forward a little bit, and they announced LTMs and launched their first one, 50v50, a light-hearted mode with significantly less pressure on the individual. This pulled everyone into the same category for a short time, and because these modes are low-pressure environments, the hardcore player base decided to shift back into these base modes to continue building upon their skill set. This was the first divide in the player base, and likely what has fueled the unenjoyable experience that is Fortnite today. As time goes on, the limited time mode goes away, leaving half the community demanding for it to come back. Some people even requested for it to be a permanent mode. At this point, both player groups have returned to the standard modes, with one group yearning for LTMs to come back. As time passes, Epic opens up their LTMs, dividing the player base again. This cycle repeats. Epic develops new modes, occasionally releasing them, dividing the player base more and more. The skill gap at this point was already widening. The more the casual group is pulled away from the pressure cooker that standard modes are, the slower they improve as players. All this time, the hardcore demographic is continuing to expand and improve upon their skill set in these base modes. Catering to one side, Epic starts leaving LTMs constantly up, rotating them out occasionally. This created a permanent divide in the community, further pushing the two groups apart. Nothing really changes after this point. They eventually add permanent modes, but the player base is already divided. The casual demographic always has somewhere to go because they keep cycling these LTMs out. Every day that had passed with an LTM live, damage was being done. You had two branches of the same community on two completely different trajectories. One side is focusing on getting better at the game, and the other side is focused on having fun. Now you get into the anecdotal cases of Fortnite is too sweaty. If an individual who doesn't play often, or mainly plays LTMs, tries to get back into these standard modes, they are met exclusively with the group of players who are likely better than them. They are met exclusively with the hardcore demographic. It is no longer a mixing pot of skill. And this ties into my next big point in the formula. Epic Games is aware of this divide, and they try to rectify it by implementing the worst possible system to have ever been implemented into a battle royale. But it is also the only system capable of fixing the existing skill gap: skill-based matchmaking. Skill-based matchmaking is unjustifiable for a battle royale in my eyes, especially in the RNG cesspool that is Fortnite. The looting is completely random, the shooting is completely random, circles are random. I'm sure a lot of people would agree that luck plays a massive factor in your success at Fortnite, at any skill level. And luck, by definition, is not influenced by one's own actions. There are a lot of factors that are completely out of the player's control that are vital to success. How could you possibly produce any consistent metric that would help an algorithm correctly determine skill in a game where bullets don't even go straight? That was a slight tangent. I really have a problem with this system for other reasons, but for the sake of staying on topic, this is also a reason that Fortnite is sweaty. Say that a player wishes to endure the sweat fest that is standard modes, and they want to get better. They pound the pavement, they watch streamers, to collect tips and information. They spend hours in creative mode practicing mechanics. Then they go out and have a really successful play session. Congratulations to that person, but since he played well, his opponents are going to get better as well, due to an arbitrary hidden MMR. It isn't quite as linear as this because, like I said, you can't have a game like this and produce any consistent metrics that would determine skill. A hidden MMR system in Fortnite likely is only capable of giving a broad range of skill levels that can compete with one another. Back in the day when you practiced and you got better, you could actually see the impact of your work. Your win rate would increase, you outplay more and more people, your kill average increased. Now that's not going to happen as consistently because your opponents will always improve at the same rate that you do, generally speaking. In Fortnite's current state, you're in a perpetual state of fighting a broad range of people that Epic's algorithm believes can compete with you. Sometimes you still will find people significantly better than you or significantly worse than you, but that's likely due to luck being an unavoidable variable in the determination of skill. Regardless, my point here is that skill-based matchmaking has made the game a more difficult game to play across the board. I'd certainly like to go in on this topic another time. The last part of my formula is time. As all products age, the people who play them discover new things and have more time to practice old things. Even the casuals that play LTMs nowadays are likely significantly better than old Season 2 hardcore players. So how would you fix the sweaty nature that is Fortnite in 2021? Well, as I've said earlier in the video, that the damage has already been done. You've cut the community into two groups who now aren't even on the same planet in terms of mechanical skill due to how long they've been split up. Something that absolutely needs to go is skill-based matchmaking. A hidden MMR system has absolutely no business being in a battle royale. I know someone probably thinks that sounds extreme, but this game used to not have one. The people you faced were only determined by the mode you queued up for. The reason Fortnite has gotten sweaty is because you're going up against someone who is reasonably capable of beating you every single time you get into a fight, in contrast to the complete mixing pot of skill that Fortnite used to be. I really do want to go in deeper on this topic in a separate video if you guys want to see that, because it would likely take me another 10 minutes to explain why a system like this is not good for the game. Feel free to let me know in the comments if that is something you would want to watch. And lastly, if you remove skill-based matchmaking, your queue times will increase. You'll get games faster. I know they're not bad right now, but they've definitely increased from the old Fortnite. However, removing skill-based matchmaking is only part of the solution, and this is where I don't see people aligning with me. I genuinely believe LTMs have potentially caused permanent damage to Fortnite, and they need to be removed. They need to end this divide between the two communities of players and bring them together. I also want to make it clear that I do not blame Epic for this. When they created 50v50, they were innovative. They created something the genre had not seen before, and this crushed their old competition. However, in doing that, they've created a sub-community of people who constantly demand more. These people weren't aware of the long-term ramifications of dividing the community like that, and were more so interested in the short-term enjoyment from Fortnite. The casual demographic now is so comfortable with their permanent, lighthearted modes, I feel like the removal of them would cause an uproar. But that would force those casuals that are still willing to play into modes that the hardcore demographic currently dominates. Now you've just made Fortnite a significantly easier game. Instead of having 50, 60, 70 sweaty players that are capable of competing with you in a single game, you've now reduced that to 10, 15, maybe 20. And you did that by forcing the entire community back together and into the same modes. And obviously this is going to change depending on whose perspective you're viewing it from. A more casual player might have a harder time competing. They might have what they perceive as 60 or 70 sweaty players. Or maybe once you get into the extremely hardcore side, they might experience 1 or 2 what they perceive as sweaty players. Anyways, that's all I got to talk about for this video. Again, feel free to use the code JEDYT if you think maybe I've given you a perspective that you hadn't thought of. And of course, feel free to give me your perspective in the comments. I definitely plan to read them all. If you don't feel like commenting, feel free to hop into my Discord and you and I can discuss this topic. I love y'all and thank you for listening. Peace out, everybody.